11 female orgasm techniques to try tonight. This will help you get to know your body and figure out what you like, whether it's nipple stimulation or a fantasy that gets you juice flowing. Whatever helps you own your orgasm, know that the pinnacle of pleasure is possible. Start by trying these 11 ways to experience an orgasm and close that orgasm gap. Clitoral orgasm. The clitoris is a small, nerve-dense structure seated at the top of the vaginal opening and serves no function other than to provide sexual pleasure. If you've never had an orgasm before, you want to start with the clitoris. How to have a clitoral orgasm. First things first, you need to figure out if you prefer direct or indirect stimulation, which is to say, touching the clitoris itself, or through the labia and clitoral hood. Start pretty far from it and then spiraling closer to it until you're finally spiraling over it, and then spiraling back out. Note when and how your body responds. With that knowledge base, experiment with different types of touch until you find the one that works for you. G-spot orgasm. The G-spot is a hypothesized highly erogenous area on the anterior or front vaginal wall of the urethral sponge that can be stimulated during sexual activity. It is the female equivalent to the prostate. How to have a G-spot orgasm. Pee first so you don't hold yourself back from climax, as G-spot stimulation can lead to a need to pee sensation and female ejaculation. Insert your middle finger in the vagina, on the belly button side of the body. You'll feel an area that's likely corrugated in texture. Stop there and use a come hither motion to stimulate, or a toy rubbing or vibrating in that area. Or, if you're having penetrative sex, try a position that hits your G-spot. Rear entry positions work well for this and keep stimulating the area until you climax. Blended orgasm. Blended orgasms are combining clitoral stimulation with some kind of other stimulation, and that can actually be a great way once you've mastered the clitoral orgasm to figure out what other parts of your body feel like. So, theoretically, you could achieve blended orgasm from stimulating your nipples and your G-spot simultaneously, but the most common combination is clitoris and G-spot. How to have a blended orgasm. If you've got both the G-spot and the clitoral orgasm down, you're in great shape basically. Just stimulate the G-spot at the same time you stimulate your clit. Or, if nipple tweaking, earlobe biting, or the anus are what get you going, focus your attention there. But for most people who have clitorises, involving that area will up your odds of achieving a blended orgasm. Anal orgasm. There are shared nerves from the anterior wall of the rectum to the vagina. So for vagina owners, it may be possible for sexual arousal to occur from rectal stimulation. Plus, the legs of the clitoris stretch all the way back to the anus, so backdoor stimulation can fire up the clit, too. How to have an anal orgasm. Alicia Sinclair, a certified sex educator, recommends incorporating your tried and true orgasm maneuvers into any anal adventure. She also suggests easing into anal play by inserting a finger first, so that you can be the giver and receiver. Use lots of lube, too, and work your way in slowly. When you put something inside the anal canal, push up in the same weight or the belly button as you would in the vagina, Sinclair explains. That way, you have that same possibility of stimulating that central nerve area, she says. C-spot orgasm. The C-spot is your cervix and involves nerve endings located in the cervix and around the uterus. Anatomical differences and surgical history, i.e., a hysterectomy that involves the cervix's removal, can affect a person's ability to achieve cervical orgasm, as can a partner's penis size if your partner happens to have a penis. Heavy thrusting with a particularly well-endowed partner may hurt, so communicate about how cervical stimulation feels for you. How to have a cervical orgasm. The key to a cervical orgasm is the build-up. You have a better chance of achieving one and of enjoying pleasurable, rather than painful, C-spot sensations if you're very turned on. So, save deep penetration until you're close to climax, and then have your partner thrust or use a sex toy or finger so that they hit your cervix. Nipple orgasm. You probably already know where and what the nipples are, but what you might not know is that some people can orgasm solely from their stimulation. When the nipples are stimulated, oxytocin is released, which causes the same uterine and vaginal contractions associated with orgasm. This brings more blood flow to the genitals and can trigger an orgasm. How to have a nipple orgasm. Start on the outer edges, using the backs of your fingers, and circle your way slowly into the center. You can also roll the nipple between thumb and forefinger. Some people may find it feels great to have a partner breath on, lick, suck, or pinch the nipples. This is all subjective, so it's a matter of playing around to determine what feels best for you. A light touch, at least at first, may be best for breast action. Try gentle boob cupping while stimulating the nipples with a tongue or vibrator, rather than full-on grabbing. Coregasm. A coregasm is when you work out and you have orgasms just from the physical activity. How to have a coregasm. Unfortunately, this may not be something you can train your body to do. It seems to be people are kind of born doing that, and it kind of tends to be an annoyance, more often than not. Because exercising in a crowded gym and not being able to stop yourself from climaxing can get awkward. Typically, coregasms happen in two ways. One is from running, where your thighs might be rubbing together and you're getting a little bit of indirect clitoral stimulation. But the more common one is from core workouts. Some people with vaginas will have them from just doing sit-ups. Others experience them from yoga-type practices, or being in a bridge position where you really have your core engaged. So maybe it's more of an at-home workout type of experimentation. Skin orgasm. A skin orgasm is also called frisson, like the tingle that runs through your limbs when you hear a particularly affecting song. Maybe you get goosebumps, maybe your hair stands up, or maybe you get a little shiver. How to have a skin orgasm. Research shows that skin orgasms are most commonly triggered by music, but emotionally evocative scenes in movies, moving artworks, or even other people with whom you feel a very special connection can spark frisson. It's an unpredictable one, though. Breath orgasm. Sex is often pigeonholed into a physical act involving the genitals, but the reality is that the hottest sex happens between our ears and is often enhanced by how we use our breath and lungs. Your breath impacts your interpretation of sensations and helps to put your mind into a state conducive to experiencing pleasure. Which is to say, you can in fact breathe your way to climax while also dismissing the intrusive thoughts that can distract from pleasure. How to have a breath orgasm. First things first, finding a quiet, comfortable place to lie down on your back. Placing your hand on your belly, breathe in deeply through your nose, such that you can feel your hand rise and fall, and exhale through an open mouth. Slowly, begin a mental scan of your body from head to toe, actively relaxing each body part as you go. The way you breathe has a significant impact on your sexual and orgasmic response. And though each of our bodies is unique, many people report that deep, slow breathing intensifies their orgasms and can even result in multiple climaxes. But because everyone orgasms differently, whether from breathing exercises or physical touch, there's no right way to do this. You have to experiment with different types of breathing to see what works for you, whether that's rapid, shallow breaths, slow, deep breaths, inhalation through the nostrils, or any other type of breathing that feels especially good to you as you imagine yourself in an arousing scenario. Fantasy orgasm. So powerful is the mind's hold over our sexuality that some people can actually think themselves off. This one is pretty self-explanatory. We're talking about fantasizing your way to climax, not touching your body, just flexing your mind muscles until you peak. Often, breathwork and fantasy will go hand in hand. You may well find that visualizing scenarios and your body's response works best in conjunction with breathing exercises. How to have a fantasy orgasm. Though only a small percentage of people report being able to reach orgasm through fantasy alone, you may want to experiment with the power of your mind. Allowing your mind to wander into uncharted territory can help you to recognize and benefit from your most genuine fantasies and untapped desires. Don't place any fantasy off limits. Just let your mind go where it wants to go. Focus on your sexiest possible scenario while also engaging whatever breathwork feels best to you and immerse yourself in it, imagining the touch and the atmosphere. Really get yourself into the scene and just keep using your imagination until you and your fantasy self climax. Sleep orgasm. People of all genders can have orgasms in their sleep. Orgasm happens in the brain, and the brain is quite active at night. How to have a sleep orgasm? Unfortunately, there's no way to make yourself have a sleep orgasm. They are fun when they happen, but you can't do anything to create them. So go ahead, give a few of these a whirl. Even if you don't end up orgasming the first, 10th, or 100th time, you'll still have fun learning about your body and its desires.